This episode of the Oh No 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 podcast is sponsored by Dynamic Industrial Services, the rope access specialists. The roof of the South Stand at Starch Park is some 19 metres above the pitch, the same height as 11 Aidan Connolly's. But as we all know, there's only one Aidan Connolly, and so you'd be much better off with Dynamic Industrial Services. DIS specialise in working at height, offering a range of services including maintenance, inspection and repair. To find out more, visit dynamicindustrialservices.co.uk.
Hello and welcome to the very first and quite possibly only Oh No 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 quiz. My name is Duncan Cameron and I have scoured the continent to find the biggest brains and the brightest minds, and I have wound up with 5 of the same jobbers who are always on this podcast. Now, before we do the rules for tonight's quiz, let's do the introductions. So, first of all, his mastermind specialist subject was grasses of the Netherlands. It is Scott Fleming. How are you, Scott?
Yeah, all good. Cheers.
Excellent. We used our Ask the Audience, and every single one of you agreed that his draft team was appalling. It's Callum Blythe. How are you, Callum?
As you can see, I am, for some reason, still being invited onto this podcast.
He says bank after every question he's asked, even if he's not on the weakest link. It's Blair Hobcroft. How are you, Blair?
What the fuck does that mean?
You're not a big weakest link guy? I don't think
I am, but why am I the bank? That's horrific. I'm buzzing, mate. I'm raging. That's an awful introduction.
Raging.
Well, listen, Blair, if you don't like that one, you won't like the next one. How many times has he been out of the country this year, and where was the last place he went? 15 Taiwan. It's Leslie Mayborn.
Good evening and good to see you. Summer season, so I've got my Iwaki FC top on with the very best golfing and sportswear worn by the very best people, Under Armour.
Excellent. And finally, he went on pointless, but every single answer he gave was Dunfermline Athletic in last season's derbies. It's Robbie Weir. How are you, Robbie?
I'm even better after that introduction.
That's the one that seems to ring the most true. If you had the a BBC One opportunity to just body the bars.
Someone's sitting there crying like, but we picked up 2 points in the League Cup. Come on.
Yeah, and you can all keep your eggheads jokes to yourselves. Now, for tonight's quiz, we've got 4 rounds to begin with. Each of those rounds has a maximum of 5 marks, so your final scores will be out of 20. But after those 4 rounds, the 2 of you that have the highest scores will go into a head-to-head final showdown to determine tonight's winner. Now, we'll do this kind of pub quiz style. So I'll ask you all of the questions for each round, and then once we've done that, I'll give you all of the answers. Now, purely because I'm not clever enough to think of a better way to do it, I am going to trust you to mark your own homework. So please write down all of your answers, because in the event of a scandal, we'll revert to countdown rules, where you just vaguely wave your piece of paper at the camera and everyone else pretends they saw what you wrote. I will also leave it up to you to challenge each other if you think there's cheating going on, which went really well for us last time.
Can I just say as well, am I the only one having hefty lockdown flashbacks right now? Like this was like every Friday night for like 4 months in 2020.
I did go back to a quiz that I had done in lockdown to be like, do any of these formats transfer? And as it turns out, no, they don't, because the audience for that wasn't 5 specific kind of high interest Rovers fans, basically. You can, if you like, you can play along at home. For this, it is just straight questions. There's no kind of interactivity or anything that relies on being on the podcast. So you can see how you stack up against this lot. Now, I'll explain kind of each round as we come to it. But before we move on to round one, any questions? Is there anything that you guys need clarified? No, quite happy? Right, excellent. First round, not particularly high concept, is the multiple choice round. Get you off to a nice, gentle start, hopefully. So,
beat for every answer.
Pencils at the ready. Question 1. Famously, on the 1st of July 1923, the Wraith Rovers squad were shipwrecked off the eastern coast of Spain en route to the Canary Islands. And I would like you to tell me the name of the ship that they were on. So was it A, the Highland Bray, B, the Highland Scot, C, the Highland Loch, or D, the Highland Rover? So that was the name of the ship the Rovers were shipwrecked on. Was it the Highland Bray, the Highland Scot, the Highland Loch, or the Highland Rover? Okay, so question 2. In November 2012, after scoring 22 goals in 23 games, Brian Graham scored a lucrative endorsement deal which saw Joe Jordan present him with a brand new pair of football boots. Those boots were bearing the name of and allegedly designed by which football legend? You can have A, Diego Maradona, B, Pele, C, Kenny Dalglish, or D, Ronaldinho. So Brian Graham got himself a pair of football boots from a legend. Was it Maradona, Pele, Kenny Dalglish, or Ronaldinho?
I actually think I know this one.
Good. That is very much the object of the game. Right, next one. Next couple, we've got literary questions, because this quiz starts out quite highbrow. So in Ian Rankin's 2006 novel, The Naming of the Dead, it is revealed that Inspector John Rebus's late brother was a Rovers fan. I need you to complete this passage that relates to Rebus's nephew at the funeral. Kenny was wearing a tie that had been his dad's. Wraith's shield was on it. Some kind of animal holding A, a computer mouse, B, Spider-Man's mask, C, a deer's footprint, or D, a belt buckle. So that was, Kenny was wearing a tie that had been his dad's, Wraith's shield was on it, some kind of animal holding a computer mouse, Spider-Man's mask, a deer's footprint, or a belt buckle. Happy to move on? Good. Right, question 4 of round 1. Based on the original source material, which of the following fictional characters, played by James McAvoy, supports Wraith Rovers? Is it A, Dr. Nicholas Garrigan from The Last King of Scotland? Is it B, D.S. Bruce Robertson from Filth? Is it C, Mr. Tumnus from The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe? Or is it D, Professor Charles Xavier from X-Men First Class? So that is a James McAvoy character who, according to their source material, supports the Rovers. And you can have Nicholas Garrigan, Bruce Robertson, Nicholas Garrigan from The Last King of Scotland, Bruce Robertson from Filth, Mr. Tumnus from The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, or Professor X from X-Men First Class. And finally, for round 1, question 5. At some stage in his career, Isma Conchalves has played for 3 of these football clubs. The other one has been made up by me. Which of these... Which of these is not a real football club? You can have A, Sheikh Russell of Bangladesh. I should have said, I'm going to apologise to people of various countries for my attempts at pronunciation here. So A was Sheikh Russell of Bangladesh. B is Matsumoto Yamaga of Japan. C is Ieyasu Lobiosu of South Korea. And D is Paktakor Tashkent of Uzbekistan. So, against my better judgment, I will give you those again. That was Sheikh Russell of Bangladesh, Matsumoto Yamaga of Japan, Ieyasu Lobiosu of South Korea, and Paktakor Tashkent of Uzbekistan.
I kind of feel like some of those, like, I was watching Leslie's face to see if you were actually, like, calling us all a bunch of tubes in Japanese or something. But he was stony-faced the whole way through.
I don't need Japanese to do that. Right, that is the end of round one. Everybody happy with their answers? Anyone need any clarification or need me to pronounce something in Bangladeshi again?
Nah, all good.
Once, twice was enough, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Right, I will give you the answers for this. So, first of all, I thought this was maybe the easiest one of the lot for this, given the publicity that it had, but it really depends how closely you read the stuff that John Greer puts on the official website.
WhatsApp.
Yeah. So, question one was the name of the ship. Anyone confident enough to tell me they know the answer to that?
Yeah.
Highland Loch.
Go on then, Robbie. It was indeed
There he is.
the Highland Loch. But unlike some of the other answers to this, I did not make up the Highland Rover. That was a sister ship of the Highland Loch, which presumably was just unavailable at the time. Question two, Brian Graham's boots. Blair, you said you thought you knew this one.
Yeah. I remember at the time, we were sponsored by Puma, and Puma had a whole ad campaign around Pele, and I can't remember what the catchphrase was, but there was a line about, like, football is life or something equally cliched, but I'm pretty certain it was Pele.
Yeah, it was the fact that all the press releases and stuff were all written in the first person. So it was like, Pele's been really impressed by Brian Graham this year. Like, not convinced. As good as Brian Graham is, I'm not convinced Pele knew who he was.
Pele's talked a lot of nonsense in his life, or he's talked a lot of nonsense in his life, but that might be up there.
Yeah. Question three. I mean, I'll be surprised if anybody kind of pulled this one from their memory as opposed to having the guess. But Kenny was wearing a tie. Wraith's shield was on it. Some kind of animal holding a belt buckle was the answer to that one. So that was question three. The answer was D. Sorry, if you only wrote down the letters for the, you should have said. Question one, C was the correct answer. Question two was B. And question three was D, a belt buckle. Question four. So this is your James McAvoy characters. It's not mentioned in the film, but in the novel, The Last King of Scotland, Dr. Nicholas Garrigan is a fifer who grew up a Rovers fan before becoming Idi Amin's personal doctor. For the others for that one, Bruce Robertson in Filth is a despicable character, so Irvin Welsh famously made him a Jambo. Surprisingly, there's very little mention of Scottish football in The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, so I'm not sure about Mr. Tumnus. And Professor X spends all his time surrounded by mutants, so we can only assume he's a Dunfermline supporter. Whole quiz, just so I can get that joke in. And then number 5.
That's C, because Ieyasu Lobiosu is Korean pronunciation for Wraith Rovers.
Correct, Leslie. Well done.
That's just ridiculous.
Really? Really?
I've also got a story about Matsumoto Yamaga as well. So when Ismag and Chalvez was there, his strike partner in pre-season was Daisen Maeda. Can you imagine the two of them on a counter-attack?
No.
Daisen sprinting off and I'm like, come back. Like, where are you?
One renowned for his exceptional work rate.
Yeah, but you are
trotting behind, just said, it's all right. Maeda's got it. It's fine. I'll leave him to it.
Yeah, just that, like, he's gone. He's out of here. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Google Translate helped me with that one. Ieyasu Lobiosu is apparently Korean for Wraith Rovers. So well done, Google Translate, and well done, Les, for working that one out between you. Yeah, Sheikh Russell An odd one, but apparently, yeah, one of the preeminent football teams in Bangladesh. Which I think is possibly where Ismail Chavez was most recently. Right, so scores on the doors for round one. So you had a maximum of 5. I'm going to go in the order I've got you written down here. Scott, yourself first of all, please.
1.
Thank you. Blair?
2.
Excellent. Leslie?
4.
Oh, I've got an early favourite. Callum?
2.
Sounds
Stuff
like an early days Ian Murray formation.
And you, Robbie? 7.
I've got 3.
3.
The one that really annoyed me is I put the computer mouse and I was sitting there like thinking that's surely too obscure for an Ian Rankin novel. So I kept on computer mouse, so just because I've heard that one said before. So
yeah, it was trying to make up alternatives for that I struggled with a little bit.
I've had the computer mouse battered too many times.
Right, okay, so round 2. This is fill in the blank. So very straightforward. I am going to give you a sequence. One of the items in the sequence will be missing, and you just need to tell me what goes into that missing slot. So, number 1 for this one. Question number 1. Andy Young, 141. William Dahl, 146. Ernie Copeland, 150. David Walker, 156. Blank, 202. And Willie Penman, 211. So I need you to write down what you think goes into that blank slot. I'm not going to give you the numbers again, but the names were Andy Young, William Dahl, Ernie Copeland, David Walker, Blank, and Willie Penman.
what was the number for the blank?
202.
Bonus point if you can name them all in order.
I've just told you them in order.
I was meaning the 202.
Ah, right, okay. Right, that makes more sense. It's like, you're way off. Right, happy to move on to the next one?
Yep.
Excellent. Right, number 2, similar. This time you've got Andy Lee, 489, Murray McDermott, 495, Donald Urquhart, 498, Blank, 507, Andy Young, 622, and Willie McNaught, 657. So that was Andy Lee, Murray McDermott, Donald Urquhart, Blank with 507, Andy Young, and Willie McNaught. Happy to move on? All right. You just have to shout at me if you're not, and that I gotta take silence as agreement. So number 3 is slightly different. Question 3. Your sequence is remember blank tag games tag. So that was remember blank tag games tag. So the way I've got these set, I think typically they get kind of progressively harder as you go through the round. It takes a bit of thinking, some of them. So this is question number 4 of fill in the blank. Scottish, Australian, Northern Irish, Scottish, Northern Irish, Scottish, blank, Northern Irish. So I will give you that again. That was Scottish.
Scott got exactly the same expression on our faces. Like, what?
This is, I think, if it clicks, you'll get it. Almost like, if the sequence clicks, you'll fill the blank. But it's just making sure that kind of jumps into your mind. But I see, I'll give it again. So that was Scottish, Australian, Northern Irish, Scottish, Northern Irish, Scottish, blank, Northern Irish. And then question number 5. A podcast favourite appears in this one. Lewis Vaughan, Willis Furtado, Kevin Nisbet, Stephen Anderson, Ethan Ross, blank. So that was Lewis Vaughan, Willis Furtado, Kevin Nisbet, Stephen Anderson, Ethan Ross, blank. Anybody need me to give them any of those again? There's a lot of thinking going on.
I genuinely have had not a clue with half of these at all.
I'm not
This is
any
definitely,
of
I
them,
think,
Scott, so...
Definitely quite tricky, but I reckon Les is sitting there with a couple of answers in his pocket. Right, we'll start with the first couple, because I think the sequences for these, I think, should at least be a little bit more kind of
obvious.
Easier to kind of work out what they are effectively, yeah. So the first one, no great surprise, these are the all-time top goal scorers for the Rovers in all competitions. So you get Andy Young, William Dahl, Ernie Copeland, David Walker, a blank, and Willie Penman. Anyone want to venture a guess as to who the blank is?
Gordon DL?
Correct. It's Gordon DL, 202 goals in all competitions. He is top league goal scorer, but he's 9 behind Willie Penman in all competitions. If he fancies
most in a
re-registering
single
for
season
the
as well, isn't he?
Challenge Cup. Which is mad when you think that there was the team hold the record for most goals in a season. You'd think one of them would have picked up enough, but it's a real achievement for Gordon DL. So the next one kind of goes hand in hand with that. This one, again, I think rather unsurprisingly, this is all-time appearances for the Rovers. So you're missing number 3 on that list with 507. Any guesses for that?
Was it Davos?
It was Ian Davidson, wasn't it?
Ian Davidson,
yeah, spot on.
I was struggling with it. Was either him or Laurie Ellis for me, but I was like, I think it's Davo, because I'm sure in his last season Laurie they brought him up about his 500th appearance.
Yeah,
because Laurie split up his spells. Like he was about 300 or so.
Laurie Ellis, one of these guys who feels like across all his teams must have about 2,000 appearances. It just seems like he had really long stints where he never missed a game for 4 or 5 different teams, all in a very short space of time. Right, number 3. Again, I suspect you probably got the sequence on this, but the answer might be a little bit trickier. So this was remember, blank, tag games, and tag. Blair, you're delighted. What's the answer?
Myeloma UK.
Correct. Spot on. It is Myeloma UK.
Love it.
And it looked like the printer was running out of ink as it went through the kind of red and white.
We spoke about this a few weeks ago, but
Ross Callum.
I was going to say it's a classic that's not a classic yet. It will be in time.
Fuck, I've got that shirt in my wardrobe.
There is, I don't know if anybody has this, I would have given you a point for Fife Hyundai, because that was the alternative kit. It's a kind of third kit, the second season that we used the Remember jersey. So I would have given you a point if you had that as well. But the answer I was looking for was Myeloma UK. So we then get into the slightly more obscure ones. So this one, it was Scottish, Australian, Northern Irish, Scottish, Northern Irish, Scottish, blank, Northern Irish. Anyone reckon they know who or what this is?
No.
I think the answer is Slovak.
Correct. Leslie Maybon. out of nowhere.
Thinking that one.
It's goalkeepers in that season where we ended up with Ryan Stevenson in goals. What I got it was Australian. I thought it was going to be a keeper, and it's either going to be Simon Rialto from well in the past or Aaron Lennox.
Aaron, yeah.
I just kept thinking, what Northern Irish players did we have with Chris Duggan? I was
Jimmy
like,
Nicol.
Who was the Northern Irish?
Connor Brennan.
Oh, of course.
He's useless, eh? Like, even now.
If you swap out the nationalities for names, it's Kevin Cuthbert, Aaron Lennox, Connor Brennan, Kevin Cuthbert, Connor Brennan, Ryan Stevenson, Pavel Penksa, and Connor Brennan. So you're absolutely spot on, Leslie. Slovakian or Slovak was the correct answer for that one.
Well played, Les.
Yeah, but far too many appearances of the goalkeeping hologram Connor Brennan. 2 legs, an extra time, and a penalty shootout, and he didn't make a single save as we get relegated. Just appalling. And then the final one, this one I think is possibly the most difficult to work out. I'll be very impressed if anybody got this one. So this was Lewis Vaughan, Willis Furtado, Kevin Nisbet, Stephen Anderson, Ethan Ross, and blank.
Can I guess
any guesses?
Topic?
Yes.
I think it's goals of the season.
You're not far away. You're pretty close. Any advance on
that's
that?
what I'd guessed. I was the same.
Because I was trying to think what Willis Furtado actually did, and he scored a belter. That was pretty much it.
Stephen Anderson scoring a belter would have been good. To be fair, I would have really liked to have seen that.
Yeah,
that's why he was just he threw me off.
Willis Furtado, to be fair, I think he's the spanner in the works in this, because inexplicably, this is Rovers players to have won SPFL Player of the Month awards.
Ooh,
right.
Well, I guessed Regan Henry.
You're not far off. That's a solid guess, but no, it was Lewis Vaughan in August 2017. Inexplicably, Furtado February 2018, just before he discovered the old Kinder Buenos. Nisbet October 2018, Stephen Anderson September 2019, Ethan Ross November 21, and December 2023. So just last season.
I'm starting.
It was Lewis Vaughan again.
Oh,
Lewis Vaughan again, yeah.
I put Aidan Connolly.
I put the Blackneck.
What should times have you written to Blackneck now?
Because I didn't have a Scooby what was going on with the names.
Yeah, I thought that one was difficult, but I thought because it was Vaughan, I thought there's a reasonable chance someone might just write that down. But I'm pleased
for the first one.
I'm pleased I've managed to bamboozle all of you at least once. That really was my aim. Right, let's come back round to scores again. So Scott, you again, please.
2.
Thank you. Blair.
3.
Thank you. Leslie.
3.
Excellent. Callum.
None.
All right, and Robbie.
2.
2. Good stuff. Right. Sorry, 2 seconds. I need to keep a run total for myself.
Very difficult to add my score up.
Right, now, round 3, and I have to tell you, Callum, this is the one where I thought, actually, this might be a little bit unfair on you with at least one of these players, just given the time that you've been watching the Rovers. I am going to give you the name of a Rovers player, and to get the point, all you need to do is give me an away ground that this player has scored at for the Rovers in a competitive match. So it could be Cup or the League, can't be a friendly. I don't need score lines, any of that kind of stuff. I just need the name of a football ground that this player has scored at for the Rovers. So again, we've got 5 of them. Number 1.
Can you name the club if you don't know the name of the ground?
Yes, I'll accept that. Yep. I don't think any of these have kind of changed grounds or anything like that, but yeah, absolutely, I'll accept that. I'll be pretty generous. So number 1, Dario Zanatta. And I tell you, I'll give you the extra context. You've got 5 to choose from for Dario. But then I'm going to stop giving you that context. So that was number 1, was Dario Zanata. Number 2, Callum, this is the one I've been thinking of because I'm fairly sure you questioned where this guy played previously on a pod, and that's Mark Stewart. Number 3 is a favourite of everybody's, I think. Dougie Hill. Scored a fair few goals, actually, for a centre-half. And you just need to tell me any one of the grounds that he scored a goal at for us, other than Starks Park. Number 4 is one of Yogi's favourites. It's Ryan Hardy. And number 5, and I'll give you all of these again because it takes a bit of time to think. Number 5, Kieran Bowie.
Now, there's one I'm thinking of, but questioning whether it was a goal or whether it was an own goal.
Honest, I can only think of goals at Starks Park. For all of them, it's mental.
This is where I am really abusing my position as...
Yeah.
I'm really abusing my position as quizmaster because I would be dreadful at this. Just everything just flows into one for me, and
How many did Kieran Bowie have?
So Kieran Bowie scored 10 goals for the Rovers. 9 of them were at Starks Park.
I was going to say,
yeah, that's fine. I'm taking this as a goal, right?
Yeah, so you've got 1 to get for Kieran. I'll just run you through them again quickly. So you've got Dario Zanata for number 1, Mark Stewart for number 2, Dougie Hill is number 3, Ryan Hardy is number 4, and Kieran Bowie is number 5. And in terms of sheer probability, the toughest. If you're trying to guess,
I've
because you've only got
almost
one shot.
been at all of them, and I can't think of any. That's mental.
Everybody ready to start hearing some answers?
No. I need a minute.
To be
Right,
fair,
so for Dario...
most of them I've just put teams and just hoped.
He's been serious when he's saying hang on.
I need a minute.
Okay, sorry. I
I need a minute.
assumed you were being... Right, well, I'll vamp for time. There is one ground, it's not necessarily one I would have kind of immediately jumped to mind, but would get you 3 of these answers. And actually the 3 guys have got 5 goals there between them. So if you pick a ground just to guess, you could actually just pick the same one.
Change one of these 5 to the same one.
Right, yeah, I've no idea. Go for it.
Just hoping it's all a certain other team.
I swear if I get the same 5 teams right, all for different players, I'll cry.
With this round, can we all just tell you our ground and you tell us whether we're right or not?
Yes,
right.
Yes, we can do that. Right.
Because otherwise you're going to have to go through
the
ridiculous amounts of answers.
Yeah,
we'll go through the order you are here. Right, Callum, you can go first then. For Dario.
I went with Hamilton.
No, I had to check that. That feels right. Just
I thought
that feels like
did come into my thinking as well. Hamilton.
Leslie, Dario Zanata.
I had Alloa, the Indo drill.
I'm afraid not. Have you both just thought he played for those teams? He must know where those goals are.
It's a segue here. If you want to offer me a chance to jump in.
Yes, Robbie, go for yours.
He had to have scored for Wraith Rovers. That's great.
He scored. He scored on his debut against Queen's Park at Hampden.
Correct.
That's what I've got.
Hampden Park.
Yes, I've got Queen's Park.
Well done.
Well done, lads.
Your other correct answers there would have been Somerset, which I feel like I have a vague memory of Dario Zanata celebrating at Somerset.
That game.
And then you've got Capello, Bayview, and Gayfield. were your others for?
I had Morton
Derek?
also at the back of my mind, but I was like, I'm certain I've seen him score at Hampden.
Oh, of course, he's Fife as well.
So your next one was Mark Stewart. Now, Mark Stewart scored 7 goals for us away from home, which feels like less than it should be almost. But so 7 goals away from home, but only at 4 different grounds. So, Callum, I say this one I think felt particularly harsh on you, but have you got a guess for Mark Stewart?
Dundee, Dens Park.
Nah, I'm afraid not.
No.
Leslie?
I went with Elgin, Borough Briggs.
Nah, I'm afraid not. Blair?
I went for Somerset, Ayr United.
Coming up short here, I'm afraid. Robbie?
I think he scored in the 4-2 game where we beat Falkirk at their bit.
Yeah, I've got
Falkirk Stadium,
I'm liking
correct.
this ground, Duncan. I'm liking this ground.
Falkirk, he scored 2 at the Falkirk Stadium. He scored 3 at the Rock for us. And then your other 2 were Central Park, Cowdenbeath, and Station Park, Forfar. And number
a driver.
3, Doogie Hill. Let's go reverse order this time. Scott, do you got a guess for Doogie Hill? Or do you know?
I feel like I've seen him score there, but probably not. I've put Cowdenbeath.
I'm afraid not. You've fallen into the trap of just those 2 closely associating with. Robbie, you got a Doogie Hill?
East End Park. I think he scored from a header that Joe Cardle swung in the Challenge Cup. I've got a very, very weird sort of photographic knowledge of Rovers goals that I just remember.
Yes, I've got a point.
Blair, what about you?
Yeah, I was the same. East End Park.
You East End Park. Leslie?
I went Elgin.
No, you'll kick yourself. You're not too far away. Wick, possibly, you're thinking of. She scored, oddly, Doogie Hill scored twice in Dingwall, once at Harmsworth Park in Wick. I can only assume it's a Scottish Cup game.
No,
and
it
then,
was a
as you
Challenge
said,
Cup game.
Challenge Cup.
It's a Challenge Cup game.
Yeah.
And then, as you said, scored at East End Park. He also scored at the Rock for us. And the one that sprang to mind for me, he scored at Easter Road in the Cup game, 3-2. He was well offside. But we won't be taking
Their
that
fans
back off
cheered
him.
him because they thought it had been ruled out, and then
that was really weird.
Really funny.
Yeah, definitely. Number 4 was Ryan Hardy. So as you like the other ones, this is getting progressively trickier. You've only got 3 to pick from for Ryan Hardy, but I would say 2 of them were pretty notable. Scott, you have a Ryan Hardy?
I could only think of goals he'd scored at home, so I've just guessed Livy.
I'm afraid not. Robbie?
Easter Road, I think he scored the game where James Keaton scored in the last minute.
Correct.
Fucking love this
Good
round.
answer.
Great.
Blair?
Robbie, have you been tested?
So I was torn between 2. I was torn between St Mirren and Dumbarton, and I've gone Dumbarton, but I don't know if either of them are right.
Well done. Good call.
Holy shit, another point.
St Mirren, I mean, I presumably would have played there at least twice for us, but at least one time at St Mirren was the 5-0, which I think was either the week before or the week after.
He would have played the season before as well, on loan, and he will have scored in that game, I think, probably.
Actually, I don't think he started the 5-0, because I think he definitely should have done, but Yogi was in his... He doesn't try a lick in training, so he's not getting a game, despite the fact he was the only boy with any talent.
Mind you, he didn't play for us the first half of that season either, did he? He never came till halfway through.
Funnily enough, halfway
through, aye.
Leslie, do you have an answer for that one?
No, I'd gone for St Mirren. I'd gone the other way.
And Callum?
I had Dumbarton.
Dumbarton, good call. So it was Dumbarton, Hibs and Hearts, oddly. Ryan Hardy completed the Edinburgh double in his short time with us. It's going to Easter Road and Tynecastle. And then the last one was Kieran Bowie, as I say, 10 goals for the Rovers, 9 of them in Kirkcaldy. One of them, Robbie, you want to tell us where it was?
Broadwood.
Correct. Is that a clean sweep for you?
It was a clean sweep.
Sure it was. I remember it.
It was a deflected goal because Jamie Cullen scored maybe as well, and it was a 2-0 draw. We ended up hanging on. So
I knew
it blew away in the first 10-15 minutes.
I knew the season that he played, so I just guessed I just went Montrose just because I knew that they were in the league, but I couldn't mind.
I did the same. I went Stranraer.
He missed it.
I went for 4.
I remember the goal now.
I went 4 for 2. Aye.
One of his first games was against Montrose up there. It was like an end of season game.
His debut.
Tate
made his debut
put one wide at the post. Aye, he put one wide at the post, and their fans were absolutely slaughtering him. And then he went on to move for more money than they've probably seen in a long time.
I was going to say, in their fans' defence, it was an absolute sitter, and it was easier to get it on target than it was to miss, and he skewed it wide. It was an absolute stinker. Because I'll never forget that season. It was the last game of the season up there, and he finished that season looking like a wee boy, and he came back in pre-season, this absolute behemoth. It was like, what had he been eating all summer? Because he was massive.
Right, I think I just need scores for that one. So, Robbie, I've got yours. Well done. Callum.
I got 2 points.
Excellent. Leslie.
I got 0 for that round.
Whoa, found your weakness.
Join the 0 points club for
Blair.
3.
3, thank you. And Scott.
2.
2. All right, excellent. Right, good news is you only need to finish in the top 2 to get into the final, and you're all within 5 points of at least second place. So technically, it is all to play for as we go into the final of the regular rounds. And this
I'm just aiming to not be last.
These are just straightforward, regular questions. There's no tricks, there's no gimmicks, but there is also no multiple choice answers. You've got to just pick an answer out of the sky. So, question 1 of round 4. 3 nations have awarded full international caps to active Wraith Rovers players. Scotland is one of them. Can you name either of the other 2? So to clarify, this is a player who has been playing at the Rovers and at the same time has been capped for their country. And as I say, there are 3 nations. One of them is Scotland, so there are 2 correct answers out there. And I only need you to give me either one of them to get the point. No, sorry. So this is across the history of the Rovers. So there's quite a few Scotland players being called up, particularly in the first half of the 20th century. But then you've got 2 other countries. No, but I'll be impressed. And so will everyone.
Wrong, but I have a feeling I know them both.
But I will ask you to commit to one as your actual answer.
Done.
Right, question number 2. This is a real niche one, depending on how into weird kind of PR stunts you are. So, Ian Murray, clearly, as we've seen in the kind of this summer's business, has set out to build a squad made almost entirely of big, gorgeous hunks. Arguably the last time we had such a hunky squad was 2010, when Iron Brew made the most of sexy Wraith Rovers by sending 4 players out onto the Starks Park pitch in nothing but towels. John Baird, Gregory Taddy, and Laurie Ellis were joined by which other rover?
I know this. I know it's Ian Lato is going to be screaming at his phone because I know for a fact Ian Lato will know this.
I was hoping that it was going to be one of the other 3.
Midway through the question, I'm starting to write out the names.
I was really confident I knew who it was, and then I had to go back and actually just double check it. And it's quite difficult to fact check PR stuff that's vaguely in the back of your mind. Right, question number 3. Who was the last Englishman to play for Wraith Rovers? So, for the avoidance of doubt, what I mean is the most recent Englishman to play for Raith Rovers, and we're going by football nationality here. So, for example, Harry Paniotto wouldn't count because, in football terms, he's from St Kitts and Nevis rather than, Leicester.
I think I know this
Earlier
too.
on, when the Rovers were teasing Jake Nicholson's signing, and we thought it might be Gabby McGill, I was really annoyed because it was going to ruin this question. I was going to have to rewrite it, find another one. So that was question 3, which is your most recent Englishman to play for the Rovers. Question number 4. After Spall in the late 80s and early 90s, and after Spall and then after the iconic Diadora era, the Rovers kits for season 95-96 and 96-97 were manufactured by an in-house brand. And what I would like you to tell me is what was the name of that brand. So it was on the logo, where at the moment there is the Joma badge. In 95-96 and 96-97, there was an in-house manufacturer's logo, and I would like you to tell me the name that was on that logo, please.
Cool.
Yeah, there are varying degrees of the ability to cheat on this one, depending on how much merch you buy.
I am not cheating. I was just merely checking that my whole light was off.
And
I see it hanging up.
Question 5. So this is the final question of the regular part of the quiz. On the 13th of June 2019, 14 minutes into a League Cup group stage match against Dundee, John McGlynn became the first manager in Scotland to what? So it's the 13th of June 2019, 14 minutes into a League Cup game against Dundee, John McGlynn became the first manager in Scotland to what?
I'm feeling weirdly confident about that round.
So that was your 5 questions
game
for
was
that.
on the 30th of June?
The 13th of June.
13th.
A League Cup game was in the middle of June?
Might be July.
I was going to say, that's awfully early.
Yeah, sorry. You're absolutely right, Scott. It'll be the 13th of July 2019.
He became the first manager ever to manage a League Cup game in June. Even Dundee didn't turn up. It was great.
And an Estonia style League Cup kickoff. That was, incidentally, it was the first game of that season, if that helps in any way.
Yeah.
It was the first group game of that year. Right, everybody happy, ready for some answers?
Yeah.
Let's go.
I think so.
Right, three nations have given international caps to Rovers players. Scotland's one of them, where you were very confident. First of all, what is the answer that you are committing to?
Guinea-Bissau.
Okay. And what was your second answer?
Zambia.
All right. Did anyone have any other answers?
Trinidad.
I've written down 3 because I'm not sure if Marvin Andrews played for us when he was active for Trinidad.
I'm going to ask you to have to commit to an answer.
I'm going to stick with Guinea-Bissau.
That was a bad choice. Although Nando Mendy...
No.
He never got on.
Nando Mendy, he never played. They took him to qualifiers, they took him to a tournament, and he never got off the bench.
He didn't play.
So
that was where I was at.
Other answers,
Zambia was
Zambia was correct. And Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago capped both Marvin Andrews and Tony Rougier at different points when they were playing for the Rovers.
If you watch the podcast with Marvin Andrews, he was very vocal about getting capped under Rovers.
Zambia and Trinidad and Tobago.
Oh, that's fine. I had Zambia because I was going to put Malawi and then went, oh wait, and Ngwenya didn't get capped. He just went for training.
See, I was thinking about St Kitts and Nevis with Harry Panayiotou. But again,
well, that's it wasn't in the research that I did. I think if that feels like he must have been in and around squads, but maybe he got called up almost immediately afterwards. But Frankie Musonda had been in squads previously, and he actually made his debut for Zambia and scored not long after he joined the Rovers. So
the wrong way.
Yes, so your correct answers there. The answers you would get points for were Zambia or Trinidad and Tobago.
I've written them both down. Do I get points for that?
No, you do not.
I need the charity, Duncan.
You can have one and you can be pleased with it. In fact, no, you can't have one. You said Guinea-Bissau. No. You get nothing.
You get 0.
Thank you. Thought I'd try.
Yeah, go with Euros. You could have just written down all the countries. Right, question 2 was Iron Brew's hunky model alongside Beardy, Greg Taddy and Laurie Ellis. All incredibly well-built men at that period. Who's confident in the fourth member of that squad?
Yep. I'll let Blair go, though. Moment to shine,
go on, Les.
I wrote it down, Jamie Mole.
Correct.
Because I thought it was going to be the one I would forget. So as soon as the question started, I knew this was coming, so I started writing them down from left to right. And I thought, right, get them down first.
I've not got it that ingrained in my head, right, just to say that I know the order that they were in.
It was when, Duncan, it was when you started naming the players, I was like, don't say Jamie Mole. Don't say Jamie Mole.
Yeah. Jamie Mole, I think we can safely say, possibly the least iconic of that quartet of Rovers icons there. I certainly go by the evidence of that photo. Right, this one I think is interesting, just in terms of the way kind of you try and think of these things. I found it really difficult to think about it before I actually looked up the right answer. So this is the most recent Englishman to play for the Rovers. Anyone confident with the answer they've written down?
I've gone with Tom
Brad
Lang.
Spencer.
Is Spencer was Scottish?
I think it's Riley Snow.
Nah, Spencer was Scottish.
Yeah,
Spencer's
I think he was born in England.
I've gone Tom Lang.
He was English. I've got Dan Wedderburn.
Because I thought it was Tom Lang from Preston.
Well, I have to tell you, Leslie, you've got the answer that I've got as Blaze Riley Snow.
Right,
but Tom Lang, I
very
think
English.
Right.
Like, extremely
So is
English.
Brad Spencer.
I thought Spencer
Tom Lang's
was
Wikipedia page.
No,
says
Brad Spencer
Tom
was
Lang
for Chelsea. He was born in England. He's English. And I actually, the reason I know this is because when I did the social media, and we had to put a flag on, I had to actually ask Brad Spencer what flag he wanted, and he said the English flag.
Because I was going to say...
I'll give you that as good evidence. So, in terms of... So, I've got two sources for this. Transfermarkt, whatever, gives everyone a nationality. And both Tom Lang and Brad Spencer on that are marked as Scottish. And equally, Wikipedia has them both as Scottish as well. Which is not to say that you're wrong, but it is to say that there's no way I could have known that before now.
Tom Lang played 10 games for Scotland under 17s in 2013-14. So his place of birth, though, was Oxford. So,
but it's football nationality. Football nationality is Scottish.
On the Rory, the Rory little card things that I had to make for Rally Moore once. I'm telling you, English.
So what are we actually going with for the answer for that?
So I think on that basis, I'm happy to accept Brad Spencer as an answer because there's no evidence to say he's played for Scotland. Tom Lang, if he's played for Scotland under 17s, by the rules that I stated in the question, doesn't count. He's a Scottish footballer.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
But the answer that I had was Blaze Riley Snow. So Leslie definitely gets a point.
He's also played in the Spanish Leisure Centre, though. So that maybe his football nationality is Spanish Leisure Centres.
But the answer, so next in line, the answers that I've got after Blaze Riley Snow was Timmy Abraham, Gozi Ugwu, Nat Wedderburn, Dean Linus, and then James Cragen.
Aye.
I mean, you really start to go quite far back with that. Very few English players in that line. But again, you are marking your own homework, so feel free to give yourself as many points as you want, within reason. Number 4. So this was the in-house brand that they put on the kind of Kelly's Copiers
So,
tops,
Robbie, if you
really.
could read the shirt that is in the background.
So, what is the answer to this one then?
The Rovers
Robbie,
collection.
we'll go to you for this. You seem quite confident.
I really had to rack my brains for this, and I went with the Rovers collection.
It is the Rovers collection. So well done to everyone who said
What a guess.
the Rovers collection. And
I think you should be disqualified from this whole quiz for that. Just
the main giveaway for that is it is also on the Copa sort of reissued tops as well. And I did actually think when I wrote that, I thought there's like a greater than 0 chance that Scott will be wearing that top as we record, because it's not an unusual occurrence. It's like, could be. And then the final question. So, 13th of July, 2019, John McGlynn became the first manager to what?
Play a game in June.
Shout out, for fuck's sake, Nando, what are you doing?
Was it not play a game in June?
It wasn't play a game in June. That was an error on the part of the quizmaster, which is unprecedented. I'm fairly sure it won't happen again. Robbie, what was your answer there?
Get booked.
Yellow carded.
I mean,
I've put make a sub.
so
it
he was
not
the first manager?
Make a concussion substitution?
He was the first manager to be shown a red card.
Ah.
Technically, that's a booking.
what did he do?
He went daft at Lloyd Wilson because Dundee had scored a goal that I think he thought was offside, and I'm pretty sure wasn't. But that was the season they introduced actually showing cards to managers instead of just telling them to go away. And John McGlynn, 14 minutes in, got a red card. 14 minutes into the season.
Was it not, I'm maybe misremembering, but was it not the penalty that Nando Mendy gave away and he went mental?
You could be right. Yes, I think you're right.
Because that was
the only reason I know it was Lloyd Wilson, because for a second I thought that was the referee that Greer calls Marty McFly's dad. But it's not. It's a different referee.
Because I had in my head concussion because Nando was concussed, but he played concussed rather than being substituted. Had he not taken a boot in the face against, I want to say Cowdenbeath in a friendly or something, like the week before?
Yeah. And to be fair, that did explain that performance. We did keep going back to that quite a lot. We were in about October. It's like, he did have that
Still
concussion.
Still concussed.
Yeah.
Because we went up to Cali the following week and he just got torn to shreds by their front line, right? But
still concussed.
COVID's got a lot to answer for. In particular, I think the big low point was that we missed Nando Mendy's goal against Greenock Morton in a 5-0 scudding.
Yeah.
It was,
Robbie, I mean, now listen, everyone else can argue with this if they want, but I'm inclined to give you the point for being booked because I'm going to suggest that no other managers picked up a yellow card in the first 13 minutes of that season. So he probably was by virtue of a red card.
He was red carded. Nah, not having it.
I don't think I should get that one.
If you don't want the point, I'm not going to argue on your behalf.
Nah, I think it's
it's
fair.
Get off you, fine. Right, okay. So, final scores until we reach the final round. So remember, it is the top 2 who will go into a final. Let's start with let me go in the order of, let's say top to bottom, but in reverse, so that we're not being too mean to Callum. So Callum, how many points did you score in that final round, please?
None.
All right, so that is a final score of 4 for Callum, and I'm afraid that does mean you cannot now reach the final.
Oh, no way.
Scott, yourself, scores for that final round, please.
2.
2. All right, excellent. Leslie, your next one, please.
If we're not including the yellow card, then 4.
All right, yeah. If you said yellow card, I'm afraid I can't give you that. Yellow card's categorically incorrect. So that's 11. All right, excellent. Blair?
3, which also
3.
takes me to 11.
Yes, it does. Luckily, I have prepared a tiebreaker, which I had not done until almost immediately before we started, and I had a little panic. But I have one. Actually, I have 2. Right, Robbie, you were on 10, so 2 or more will see you win. If you've got 1, then I don't have a 3-way tiebreaker, so we could be in bother. What did you score in that round, please?
I got 3.
3, brilliant, excellent, good stuff. So, Robbie, you are safely into the final with an excellent score of 13 out of 20. But we have 2 tied on 11. I get to break out my tiebreaker question. So,
if this is in Japanese, I'm kicking off. I'm telling you now.
It's not in Japanese.
It might
but
be
it
players
is
who came
on
through the school system in Fife.
Everybody's favourite subject, the playing history of Manidoku.
Nice.
So this one, I'm going to ask you both the same question, and it will be whoever gets closest will go through to the final. So, again, write this down, please, because we'll do the countdown thing if there's an argument. According to Transfermarkt, which you might be noticing is a recurring theme in my research, just the one website, how many clubs has Manidoku made senior appearances for? Manidoku is 31 years old. Just tell me when you've locked in an answer.
How many small
we're just going to write it big, Les, and show it.
Yeah, I was going to say, if we write it down and hold it up.
Yeah.
I'm going for 17.
14.
Where's the winner? It's only 11.
Oh.
Ooh.
Can you name one?
Havant and Waterlooville.
Inverness,
that is
Race Rovers, Weedlestone.
Maidstone, he played against Ipswich.
Yeah, I mean, you've got...
He was somehow in that game. He played 4 games for Maidstone.
Excellent. Well, that does mean that, Blair, you have
I'm not going to lie, I feel dirty, but I'll take it.
Safely navigated your way. The second tiebreaker, just for your information, was how many senior goals has Timmy Abraham scored?
Wow.
In his 81 senior appearances. That's actually 6.
Oh,
I think they need to take the North Korean approach. If Timmy Abraham scores against your team, then you need to send your manager to a hard labour camp. That's just
Yeah, he's got 6 goals and 12 yellow cards, presumably all for terrible dives. They're just giving up. Right, so the final is our head-to-head, and it's a little bit different again. So this time, I am going to give you a question that has 16 possible correct answers, and I'm going to ask each of you to make a bid on the number that you think you can get. So, Robbie, you have the highest score from the first set of rounds, so you are in the lead. You can make the first bid. Blair, you can then either make a higher bid or ask Robbie to play and try and name his. Bids will continue until someone effectively declines, and the highest bidder will then have to give as many correct answers as their highest bid in order to win. If you cannot name as many as your highest bid, or you give an incorrect answer, the other person wins. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That is old.
Is this like the Sky Sports game Lies or something?
No, this is an original game. This is... I have... There's no copyright infringement. I have to tell you, Scott, actually, I'm not familiar with the Sky Sports game. I have stolen this directly from Craig Anderson's excellent Terrace quizzes.
Right.
But
the cutting theme on this podcast.
Yeah. The sort of the question or the scenario with the 16 answers The Ramsden's Cup final in April 2014, the Rovers named a starting 11, as you would expect, and 5 substitutes. So how many? Yeah.
I'll go with 13.
Whoa, that is a high bid straight out the gate. So the Rovers did use all of their 3 substitutes. So there were 14 players who played, and you've got 2 unused substitutes. Now,
can I just
Robbie
clarify?
13. Yes.
If he gets one wrong answer and he's run to 13, I win this quiz.
Correct.
Do you know what? I'm going to say this now. Robbie, you have played exceptionally well and deserve to win this quiz, and therefore deserve the opportunity to show your prowess with naming 13 players that played. And I'd like to make sure that at all times Robbie's eyes are off of his screen, please.
And just,
more than happy to keep them on my notepad. I'm just going to write them through. Is that all right?
Yeah,
of course.
Just out of interest, Blair, had you been allowed to bid first, what would your bid have been?
Oh, I'd have opened with like 6 or something. Just like play it sensible. I mean, I'm pretty sure I could name. I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty sure I could name 13, but I think I would probably get one wrong on the way. Is my worry? Like, it's not that I couldn't name 13, but 13 unbroken.
13 on the bounce.
Yeah, it's bold.
I think 9 or 10 I could probably get, and then I would probably be struggling to not get one mistake in that after that.
Yeah.
It's always the tricky thing with these is like...
I love how we're just
again,
seeding that down into Robbie
before.
Every 10 seconds here, just going 13.
Not at all. Not at all.
What was the question?
Right, can I start?
Yes, you can, mate, definitely. But I need to mark them off, so...
Lee Robinson, Fraser Mullen, Dougie Hill, Callum Booth.
Wait. Slow down.
Come on.
Yep.
So Callum Booth, Paul Watson, Joe Cardle, Liam Fox, Grant Anderson, Greg Spence, closer. Smith's first name. Can I use just the surname?
No.
Kevin Smith's brother.
Come back to him. If you need them, we'll see. But
Callum Elliott, John Baird, Kevin Moon, and
right, wait. You've named 12. So this next one, there are 4 correct answers left. If you get any one of these 4, you win.
He's done it.
Didn't I say that? I fucked it.
He's done it. If he names a player he's already named, he also loses, rule, right? So if I keep talking for long enough and confuse him, he might forget what he said and have to say it again.
Gordon Smith.
Damn it.
Correct.
Well fucking up you.
Wait a second.
Well done.
Was Kevin Moon in that squad?
Yes.
Really? I did not know that.
Yeah,
he was in that squad.
Yeah. And Robbie, not only have you've named one of the players who played. Yeah, you've named. No, actually, you've not. You've missed one out of the starting 11. But you basically what you're left with is the 2 unused substitutes
and the captain.
Jason Thompson.
Thompson. And
Sorry,
then,
Jason.
do you want to have a bash at the 2 unused subs?
Ross Laidlaw, maybe?
Correct.
Was Lewis Vaughan the other one?
No.
Ross
Matthews.
Callahan.
No.
I mean, this by far and away, this is the trickiest one. I think the second most tricky after this would be Fraser Mullen. I think it's in terms of the kind of that.
I use Fraser Mullen as my
is it Johnny Court?
Yeah. No, it's not. You're on the right lines.
It's got to be a young lad.
Lee Bryce? Oh, no. Chocolate. What's his name?
Oh, thanks.
Avo called him Chocolate. I'm sure it's him. The wee ginger boy for Glenottis.
David Bates. Nah, too early for
Not David Bates.
No.
I don't know if he was ginger.
No, that's not who I'm thinking of.
correct, Leslie.
Good shout. No,
Reece
it's too early for
was the other unused substitute.
Oh, I always thought he was underrated at the Rovers, actually.
You're wrong.
I mean, I don't think he went on to kind of great success afterwards.
You know, got Peterhead.
7 games for Peterhead on loan, 1 game for Peterhead after his loan ended, and then he was at East Stirling and Linlithgow Rose. According to,
he got a really bad injury when he was at Peterhead. Well played, Robbie.
Robbie was incredibly impressive. That was very, very well done. That was kind of what I expected from this group. I thought someone's going to be able to really kind of go. But what I thought is that what would have happened if Blair had gone first, where it would have been like kind of bidding up to it.
Then I'd just go in and be like, really?
The gumption to just chuck a 13 straight out of the gate. I'll give you a starting 11. I'll give you 2 subs.
Pretty confident about knowing that squad. Like I've got I don't know what it is, but like just like stuff like games, goal scorers, and like remembering from when players were. But
no,
yeah. To be fair, that win was built on the back of knowing stuff about football as opposed to knowing about the books and all the other daft stuff that was in there. Actually, who scored these goals? Who are these players? You got all that stuff spot on, which probably is how it should be, to be fair. Yeah, excellent. Very, very well done. I have no idea if you will ever get the opportunity to sort of defend that crown, but it's a well-earned one nonetheless. Yeah, so a massive congratulations to Robbie and a massive thank you to you for listening. Thank yous also to John Greer, who provided the all-time goals and appearance figures, and to John Litster, whose Rovers work is always an invaluable reference for trying to do any daft shit like this. And
no thanks to the transfer market.
Yeah, exactly. No thanks to faceless web entities. But yeah, should also mention, as I touched upon before, the quiz episodes of both the Terrace and the Football Cliches podcast, because they were heavily plagiarised at different points. So the Rovers are back on Saturday. The trip to Forth Bank to play Stirling Albion. Our regular episodes will start up again in line with that. But I hope you have enjoyed this special episode, and we will see you again soon. Goodbye.